right, good to see you, Tommy.
And you, John?
Yeah, thanks for inviting us down to get a little bit more up close and personal and get inside and behind the scenes of Tommy Coyle. It's going to be a pleasure to do this interview and hopefully get to know a lot more about you.
Thanks for coming down, mate. It's a pleasure to have you in the gym.
No, I appreciate it, mate. It's a fantastic gym as well.
Yeah,
mate.
no, this was the first one. You know, opened this 3 years ago, and now we've got two. So
we'll talk about the gyms as we go through the interview. First of all, let's sort of set the scene. All right, let the viewers know who is Tommy Coyle. Tell us about your sort of early life, your upbringing, things like that.
A market trader's son, kid who loved sport, kid who loved having the crack.
Whereabouts did you grow up in Hull? Because we're a divided city, aren't we, in Hull?
Yeah, we are. I'm an East Hull kid, born and bred, but I try and not divide the city. I know, you know, with the big fight with Luke and what have you, we did kind of divide the city, and we've got Rovers, we've got Hull FC, but I'm an old lad at the end of the day, old lad, and just live in the east of Hull, that's all.
So what school did you go to then?
Oh, when I went, South Oldham, I was supposed to, well, I went to Bilton Primary, early days, and I wasn't bad there, to be fair. I didn't actually get excluded. But when I went to South Oldham, I made, you know, a few wrong decisions, to say the least, and I was permanently expelled by year 9.
All right, okay. Do you want to divulge what that was about?
I just made a lot of wrong decisions. Never felt like school was for me. I would much rather have been on the market with my old man earning a few quid. Just didn't like being sat on my chair for too long. You know, when PE was on, I was there. I loved it. Played in all the rugby teams, the football teams, everything. But yeah, sat there with pen to paper, just want my bag, want for me.
Yeah, you mentioned your dad there. We'll talk about family. We've got Chris, best known as Daddy Coyle, and then we've got Mum, Debbie. Tell us about them as you was growing up.
Oh, jeez, God. My mum's an unbelievable woman. She's like the rock in our family. She's the one who keeps it all together. She's the glue, if you like. You know, she doesn't get the credit she deserves. It's all, you know, Daddy Coyle this, Daddy Coyle that, but she's a real superstar. My dad, he's my best friend in the world, and I've got some extremely good friends, but my dad's numero uno. He's number one. He's my boss. He's my dad, my best friend, my teacher. He's an extreme individual. He's a real crazy guy, but I feel...
He's a well-loved guy, though.
Yeah, he is.
He's
misunderstood, my old man. I believe I am the person I am because of him. You know, like, he's made me this type of boomerang. You know, this comeback kid. This you know, this guy who refuses to lose, because that's the type of guy he's always been. You know, he's always been, you know, just on the verge of being defeated, then he comes back. You know, I'm talking in business.
Yeah.
He's always found a way to provide for us, you know what I mean?
There's obviously something in the DNA, because you're one of four sons to Mum and Dad, and you're all of a sporting background. Do you want to tell us a bit more? You've got 3 other brothers, I believe. Is it Joe, Louis and Rocco?
That's right, yeah.
Tell us about them.
We've got Joe, who's the oldest of the 3 brothers. He's a professional golfer on the Euro Pro Tour. He's plays at Hull Golf Club as well. I've got another brother, Louis, who is a professional player for Leeds United. He's actually out on loan at the minute at Fleetwood. He's doing well, really well. And I've my youngest brother, Rocco. He's on the books at Hull City, and again he's hopefully going to go on and try and emulate his older brother, Louis.
Well, your parents must be so proud to have successful kids in sport. You know,
they are.
It must be amazing.
But you know, they've played a massive role in our success. You know, we wasn't a poor family, but you know, it was tough growing up because they had four kids to feed, mortgage to pay, bills to pay, and
That doesn't even include the subs and the boots and the
No,
kit and everything else.
Jeez, honestly.
The parent taxes.
You know what? I'll tell you a story. Not many people know this, but I remember I used to play football. I played for Leeds United, and my dad used to take me to, it was Tadcaster where we trained on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and obviously Louis was playing football as well, and he was in the academy. I was in like the development squad. Hey, my younger brother, he was in the academy. I was in the development squad, but I was 15 at the time, and I'll never ever forget this story. He was travelling to Leeds 4 times a week with me and Louis collectively. It was 40 quid in a diesel tank every time. So 4 4s, you got 160 quid a week. You know, it's a lot of money. It was a financial restraint. He was always moaning about it. He was always saying, 160 quid in a diesel tank to take you little bastards to Leeds every week. You know, I hope you appreciate it, etc. Anyways, cut a long story short, this one time, remember Josh Hodgson?
Yeah.
Oh, Canberra Raiders. He's playing the Canberra Raiders now. We'd twagged school one day, and we used to miss the bus on purpose to go to Asda, and we'd get a sausage sandwich, and then we'd walk to school, so we'd miss the first couple of lessons, and we'd get there a bit late, and there wouldn't be as long left in the day to complete the school. Anyways, this one time we bunked off school, we walked to Asda, and my dad's in the cafe, and he's going to go buy me here, I'm twagging school, but suddenly I thought, what's he doing in Asda Cafe? You know, I heard him leave the house at 4 o'clock this morning to go to work. My dad don't go to Asda Cafe, what's going on? So anyways, I walked in, I thought, he's seen me, you know, through the window in the cafe. I went, all right, Dad. He went, why aren't you at school? I says, well, I'm obviously twagging, aren't I? So he went, sit down there, you. And he told Josh, he went, Josh, get to school. So I sat down and went, Dad, why aren't you at work? He went, I've gone bankrupt. I went, what do you mean you've gone bankrupt? He says, you've caught me out. He says, I was getting up every morning going to work for the last 2 weeks. So you, your mum, your brothers, you didn't know that I'd gone bankrupt. My dad was a terrible gambler, by the way, a bad gambler. He'd bet on which raindrop was going to get to the bottom of the window first with somebody who was a compulsive gambler. And he'd done all the money in, basically, and you know, he'd gone bankrupt. He was out of work. It was when we had the pitch on the corner of Boulevard, and he didn't want my mum to know that it all gone tits up, basically, and he didn't want us kids to think, oh, what's going to happen, you know, to the family and all the rest of it. So he was getting up just to kind of keep his routine and keep, you know, the bad news away from us, really. So it didn't affect us. And I understand that now, because I'm a parent and I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser. But he said to me, listen, I'll sort it, don't worry, I'll find a way. So I said to him, don't worry about taking me training tonight. I went, you know, I understand it's 40 quid in the diesel tank every time. I said, and you know, it's 4 times a week at the minute with me and Louis. And you know, if you know things are tight and you're struggling, don't worry about it. He went, listen to me, you. He said, I'll find a way to get you to training. He says, be at the school gates, 4 o'clock, as usual, I'll pick you up. I went, all right. So I went, get to fucking school anyway. So off I went to school, finished the rest of the day, messed around in every class probably. And he picked me up 4 o'clock. And I'll never ever forget it. We got to the A63, pulled into the service station, and he gets out, he starts filling the van up, and he doesn't stop at his usual 30 quid, 40 quid. He brims it, he fills the tank straight to the top. Now, my dad never ever filled the tank to the top. If he was going to town, he'd put a £5 in. It was just enough to get him to town and back. If he was going a bit further, it'd be a tenner. He'd never ever fill it. But on this one particular night, he filled the van. And he gets back in the van without paying and drives off. So I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? You've just filled the van to the top, about 90 quid off of diesel, and you've drove off without paying. He went, correct. He went, I'll get you to training by hook or by crook. I went, but you're going to get into trouble for that. I said, that's you know, it's an offence. He went, correct. He says, but I've got about 7 days until I receive a letter from the petrol station saying you've drove off without paying. He says, 7 days is a long time. So he said, I'll be back at work. And he said, I'll have a few quid back in my pocket. And that was my dad's mentality about anything in life, just find a way. And I think that's rubbed off on me. It's certainly rubbed off on Joe, Louis, and who knows, maybe Rocco as well. And I think that's why my career's been, you know, the way it is, up, down, you know, when you thought I've been out and down and out, you know, I find a way to get up, I come back. And
We'll talk about some of the highs and lows.
Yeah.
I think your dad's probably took one of the biggest gambles of his life with you guys, because he's now getting a bit of a reward. You've gone from a boxing career at an amateur level into professional, so let's talk a bit more about that then. So where did it start then, the boxing?
6 years of age, 21 years this year. 6 years of age. Do you remember a fella called Carl Heath? He's over in Canada at the minute, but Carl's got an unbelievable life story. He was an orphan, a thief, a well-known thief. I think he was branded as Hull's best thief. He was a bad kid, but he turned his life around and he started telling other youngsters what was going through similar things in their life and started to turn their lives around. He was a footballer and then he turned professional, and he was a friend of my dad's, and I was always told to call him Uncle Carl. On my 6th birthday, he bought me it was a VHS then, it was like a videotape, it wasn't DVDs. And it was called License to Thrill, Prince Nazim. And he bought me it for my birthday, and I remember putting it on, I thought, wow, I want to do this. I wanted to do the flip over the top rope, that's what I wanted to do. And he took me down to St Paul's Boxing Academy. And the rest is history. Fell in love with the game. You know, 70 fights as an amateur, 2 national titles, boxed for England.
What age did you turn pro, Tommy?
Turned pro at 19, I was
19.
young. Yeah, so I've been a pro just shy of 10 years now.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the highs and lows of that professional career then. What's been sort of one of the biggest lows you've ever sustained in that professional career of yours?
I think I don't think I know. The biggest low was the defeat with Luke Campbell. It was difficult, real difficult. I never believed I could win the fight, if I'm totally honest. I thought I'd won before I'd even got in the ring. You know, I was going to fight in front of 15,000 people. I was going to meet Michael Buffer. You know, I was going to receive a substantial amount of money which would allow me to you know, buy a home and, you know, provide a bit of security for my family. I'd already won before I'd even got in the ring in my eyes. I was going up against the gold medalist, you know, the best in the world as an amateur. And I just never really believed in myself, but do you know what? I thought he was invincible, I did. I thought, you know what, everything's stacked against me here. But Mendy went and proved that theory wrong in the fight after my fight. You know, he went and beat him, so he wasn't unbeatable. And, you know, it was a tough time for me because he was from the same city. He was the West, I was the East. He was All FC, if you like, I was All KR. And just, you know, after the defeat, I was in a bad way, to be honest, after the defeat. I was very depressed for about 6 months. Everywhere I went, I felt like people was looking at me, laughing at me, saying, oh, that's that lad what, you know, got knocked out by Luke Campbell. And it was a real tough time for me. I struggled badly. You know, not many people know that, and to be fair, this is probably one of the only times I've spoke about it. I mean, I spoke with...
Did you deal with it?
I don't know if I ever have dealt with it. It still hurts me to this day because, you know, maybe I could have beat him if I'd have believed in myself. I definitely, if I'd have believed and just had a bit more confidence in my approach and got close enough to land, maybe I could have put him away because I've definitely got the power to. But, you know, it's history, and I can't change what was or what is. It's gone. It'll make an awesome feature in my scrapbook. You know, it'll be something that I look back on and think, you know, we was relevant to so many people, but immediately after the fight, you know, it was tough to deal with, really, really tough. And I think the thing what made it worse for me was I finally got my head around it, and I went back into a training camp, and I was sparring, and I got injured in sparring. I tore a ligament off my humerus in my elbow, and it forced me to be out of the game for another 9 months. So on the back of a defeat, you know, against Luke Campbell, and being fed up, being depressed, not having no real confidence, I was out of the game for 9 months, and I thought, you know, is Eddie Hearn going to forget about me? Is he going to leave me behind? You know, is the next, you know, kid going to come along and take my spot on Sky? And I just beat myself up about a load of stuff. But, you know, time's a great healer, you know, and the 9 months passed, I got back in the ring, managed to chalk up a win, and, you know, I was back in the mix. I was back fighting for the British title.
Oh, fantastic. It's good that you sort of, you know, they use the analogy, get back on the horse. It's good that you did that. You know, you got back in the ring. You could have quite easily just gave up there, hung the gloves up. And
it's not in my DNA. Quit. You know, it's not in my makeup to give up. I don't know how to give up. I really don't. And you know, I never once thought, although I was upset, although I was depressed, although I was fed up, I never thought about once giving up, because I've not achieved what I set out to yet, and I can't finish until, you know, I accomplish that mission that I'm on.
So that's going to be, if you accomplish that mission you're talking of, which we'll come to in a bit, but I think most people know what that is, but take that to one side. What's been the biggest high so far then of the boxing career?
The biggest high of the boxing career, the Michael Katsidis fight, because I remember being at Eddie Hearn's house, having the annual Manchurian barbecue, and he come up to me, and there was all sorts of, Kell Brook was coming in on an helicopter and everything, and I remember he come to me last, because, you know, I wasn't on the likes of Kell Brook's level, but fair play to Eddie, you know, he gave me my 10 minutes, he let me know what was next for me, what wasn't, and he said to me, Michael Katsidis next. I went, what do you mean? He went, do you want to fight Michael Katsidis? And my stomach sunk. I remember like my stomach doing a double flip, and I went, yeah. And I thought, oh, shit, what have I just signed up for? Because Michael Katsidis, when I was growing up, was like a legend. You know, he'd been there with Marquez, and they called him the Brit Basher. You know, done Kevin Mitchell. He'd really, you know, upset, you know, the apple cart plenty of times on British soil. So I said yeah, and I remember training for the fight, and for 12 weeks I was scared to death. You know, I really was. You know, I feared this guy. I had him on that bag there in front of me. I'd cut out a picture of him and we'd stuck it to the bag. So he was just in my subconscious for 12 weeks before the fight. And when I managed to knock him out in round 2, it was like, wow. It was the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, okay, so you've had some injuries during your boxing career, and you talked about the ligament on the humerus there. What's been the worst injury you've ever sustained then? Have you had a potential career-ending injury?
Well, the elbow injury, you know, it could have been a potential, you know, career finisher, but I did the rehab extremely well. I think with the rehab and the surgery, it cost me 20 grand to get right again. But I fractured my eye socket in my last fight, and that really, you know, I've been out of the ring since February, and I've been out of the ring 6 months. That knocked me for six, because after the British title fight, I ended up in hospital, passed out in the changing room, and you know, I just had concussion, and my eye was a mess. But there was actually no damage to my face or to my health. I just had, you know, serious concussion. So that was scary. But then to end up in hospital again, despite knocking the guy out in the 3rd round, it just shows you what can happen in 3 rounds, and it can show you what can happen with one punch. I think that was the only punch Raheem Noble landed, and I I can sympathise with Kell Brook because the pain I was in fracturing my eye socket was like a pain I've never ever experienced in my entire life. It was brutal, it really was. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone anyways, I really wouldn't. And post that fight and post coming out of hospital with a fractured eye socket and having to have, you know, the 6 months out like I've done for it to heal correctly, you know, I did consider, you know, retiring because I thought, do you know what, I've got 2 beautiful boys and a beautiful wife who I love to death, and you know, I'm not willing to sacrifice my health for nobody or for anything, because I want to retire from the sport. I don't want the sport to retire me, because I love boxing. I love boxing with all my heart, you know, and I have 2 boxing academies, and I love being in the gyms and helping the kids out. So I don't want the sport to retire me and me to ever be bitter towards the sport, because it'll spoil a lot of great things what I've got going on. So I did consider it, but I've not won that British title yet, and I made a promise to my firstborn son, Archie, that I would win the British title. Not that he can understand me, but I know in my mind that I made that promise to him, and I know I'm capable of winning a British title. I've sparred many British champions and turned them upside down, turned them inside out. I'm capable of winning a British title, and I'm not done yet. You know, I've got to go out and complete that mission.
I think I join all your fans and everybody in and around Hull in wishing you the success in that, because that's the one thing we've hoped to see from Tommy Coyle.
Well, Hull's never had a British champion, you know, and I would love nothing more than to win the British title, defend it 3 times, so I get to keep it. And everybody knows how passionate about this city I am, and I'd give it to Art Ferrens Gallery. You know, try and get it in there and keep it in there, so it not just belongs to me, but belongs to the city, and be a part of that legacy I'm creating, because, you know, that's what we're trying to do with the foundation and the gyms and it
we'll
just
talk about your legacy that you're setting up. We'll get into that shortly. Last couple of years, been a lack of momentum. What's gone on there?
I just think with the injuries and the type of fights I've been in, you think I fought Derry Matthews, and you know, it was probably the best performance I've ever had. You know, fighting Derry Matthews, it was 10 rounds in front, and then, you know, went away from the game plan in the 10th round and walked onto an absolute, you know, worldie of a shot, and you know, he knocked me out. But from that fight, you know, I fought Derry Matthews. I then fought John Simpson, former Commonwealth British European champion. I then fought Daniel Brazuelo, that hellacious war, 12 rounds, just, you know, 8 knockdowns, 2 points deducted. It was, you know, I fractured my ribs. It was a tough fight, probably put a lot of miles on the clock. From that fight, I went into the fight with Michael Katsidis, and I think I had a 6-rounder. Then I fought Martin Geffen, then I fought Luke Campbell, then I fought Tyrone Nurse. I've been in title fight after title fight, and everybody knows every fight has been a war. It's been a tough fight, and you know, the fans love it, but for the body, it can take a toll on the body, and I had to take some time out after the British title because of the injuries I sustained to my face. And then fracturing my eye socket in the last fight, you know, I had to take it further, 6 months out just to get right until I can start sparring again. So I think because of the way I fight, and yeah, the damage you take fighting like that, although it's exciting for the fans, you know, it does slow your momentum down. Yeah, but it's fun.
It definitely entertained us as fans. Tell us about your last fight. Despite scoring a 3rd KO, tell us about that.
You know, it was a fight that I needed to win, because if I didn't win, then there was nowhere else for me to go. You know, on the back of losing the British title, if I wasn't going to beat Raheem Noble, then it was probably the end of the road for me. So to win in the fashion I did was fantastic. You know, a 3rd round knockout. I did what I expected to do. I was always confident I would knock him out, but just, you know, suffering that fractured eye socket, it's just, you know, I was probably going to go on to fight Frankie Gavin. That was the plan, immediately within maybe 8 or 10 weeks of that fight. But because I sustained, you know, the fractured eye socket, it just kind of held me back a little bit. But, you know, I'm over that now. You go swimming, you get wet, and this is the game I'm in at the end of the day. You know, I'm taking punches. You know, I'm in the firing line. But I am mindful. I am very, very mindful that I need to get out when the time's right. You know, I want to retire with all my faculties intact. I want to be able to hold a conversation like this with anybody. I want to be able to read my kids a bedtime story. And I want to be able to do good business. You know, I've got some fabulous businesses, and we do a lot of work in schools. And I want to be able to go into those schools and get a message across and sound healthy.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about this community work then. So you go into schools. What else are you doing in the community now, then, Tommy?
Because I made all the wrong decisions a young lad could make growing up. If it hadn't been for boxing, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. You know, some of the things I have done, I could have ended up in a whole lot of trouble. But I'd probably be working on the market with my old man. Now, there's nothing wrong in that, because, you know, that little market store has provided a living for me and my brothers and my mother. But I was a very ambitious kid. I wanted more out of life. And if it hadn't been for boxing, that's what I'd probably be doing. I had no plan B because I did mess around in school. You know, I chose not to listen. So, you know, with the boxing and with me doing fairly well and becoming, Hull's a very small place, you've got to remember. If I was in Manchester or London or Liverpool, I'd be one of many. But in this town, there's only me, really. You know, there's only, there's me and Luke. But Luke practically lives in Miami. So the boxing's become a vehicle to deliver a powerful message to these young kids. At the end of the day, I like to think I make smart investments, and for me, it's a smart investment to go into a school and try and teach them right from my wrongs, try and make them understand that, you know, it's not smart to be tough, it's tough to be smart, and it's good to have a plan B, because that generation, this generation, is probably going to be the teachers, the doctors, the scientists of my kids. Yeah. So, you know, if I can improve, you know, this generation, it's going to have an effect on my children when they grow up, because they're going to be teaching my kids. And I just feel as well it's my job to give something back to the community, because this community supported me, not just in victory but in defeat as well. You know, everybody knows I've been beat, but they continue to come out in the thousands to support me. You know, I even in a away fight, I'll do, you know, 300, 400 tickets, you know, put on all the coaches for them to come down. They always come out in the numbers to support me. So I just feel it's right to give something back. And as well, there's been so many people that have helped me. Nobody's really self-made, I don't believe. No, you hear all these people, I'm a self-made millionaire, I'm a self-made, you know, I've done everything on my own. Nobody's self-made. You know, your mum and dad made you.
Yeah.
You know, your parents made you, or somebody, like, I've had so many people in business what have given me a foot on the ladder, or they've given me some knowledge, or they've said, you know what, don't do it this way, do it that way, and you'll be more successful, you'll have more longevity. So I feel if you're fortunate enough to get to the top, then send the elevator back down.
Yeah, I like that. You've been renowned in Hull for one of those that gives back, and
it feels good to give back though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I'm going to talk about a story that touched my heart really. I heard this in the news. You helped a homeless lady on a roundabout.
Yeah, do you know what, John?
You didn't need to do that though, Tommy. And
yeah, but
that's the,
if we talk about this now in this interview, it looks like we've done this for a reason. So those things that I've done, and those things that I will continue to do, that I do that for a reason. It makes me feel good in here, and it helps me deal with a few little things I've got going on up here. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying. So let's bypass that. You know,
okay.
It's for me.
There's always an ulterior motive for people doing it, and a lot of people think it's to do with financial gain, it's to do with building your name and things like that. Whereas with Tommy Coyle, it's not like that. It's about Tommy Coyle just doing a nice thing to help somebody, and that's, I think a lot of people misunderstand when we talk about giving back and community work. A lot of people think there's got to be some drawback from it, when actually with yourself, I've noticed there isn't. And I think
it makes me feel good.
It's humbling to see that.
It makes me feel extremely good to. Like I said, so many people have helped me. I didn't build these 2 gyms on my own. I didn't build, some of the other companies that I've got on my own. I've had a lot of help. So it's just right. It's the right thing to do to give back. And as well, if there's anywhere worth going when I die, hopefully I'll get there. Hopefully.
I like that. Well done, mate. Obviously, you've got some fantastic success stories. Tell us about some of the ones.
I'm going to tell you one, because we're in this very ring right now. When we opened this gym, it was mobbed, absolutely mobbed. There was loads of parents, and I used to do little competitions every session, and this one particular session was doing the plank, and I'll never forget this. And I said, right, whoever wins the plank gets a Tommy Coyle Academy t-shirt. So I had them all lined up with about 25 kids, and they're all doing this plank. A minute's gone, 2 minutes gone. It's about 3 or 4 left. And there was this kid, real good looking lad, muscles, he was in great shape.
I didn't come, did I?
He was very lean. And there's this other kid, he had holes in his joggers, and he lived down the street actually. I'm not going to mention his name, but he had holes in his joggers. He was a bit tight, a bit scruffy. He'd probably been playing out and fell over or whatever. His hair wasn't brushed. He mucky hands, or he was just a typical street kid. And all the parents was taking bets and saying, he's gonna win, this kid who was ripped, who looked really fit and healthy. I went, nah. I said, you see that boy there? I said, he'll win. So I said, no chance. I went, how much do you want to bet? I said, I'll bet you anything you like. I said, he will win. Anyways, guess who won? The kid I said would win. And one of the parents said to me, why did you say he'd win? I said, because that kid, that t-shirt would have meant the world to him. I said, and there was no way he was gonna let anybody beat him, because how can I put it? Your mind is the most strongest thing in the world, okay? Your body's like an old workhorse. It can go and go and go and go and go. And I call it the 70-30 rule. And I pass this on to as many kids. I was speaking at the Hull Rugby League team. The 2 clubs have merged, haven't they? Hull FC.
City of Hull.
City of Hull, that's it. And I was trying to get this to Jason Netherton. I was trying to tell him about this theory I've got. And I said to the parents, I said, he knows about the 70-30 rule, this kid. I said, even if he don't know it, I said, he will get it. And I say it like this, and this is how I managed to get up after the Brizuela fight. Your body's like an old workhorse. It can go and go and go and go. It's your brain what tells your body to stop. Your brain's smart. Your brain is super, super smart. It don't want your body to be in harm. It don't want your body to be unsettled. It don't want your body to ache the next day for 3 or 4 days, because that's not normal, okay? But if you can understand that your brain tells your body to stop at 70% of what it's actually capable of, that means you've still got a 30% bracket where you can push into. And if you've got the strength and the courage to break into that 30%, you're gonna win. You're gonna be successful. And that kid, because he's probably, I don't know, I'm making this, well, no, I'm not. I know that kid's got nothing. That t-shirt would have meant the world to him. Yeah. You know, he was prepared to go into that 30% for that t-shirt. Just like me, when I'm in the ring, I'm prepared to go into that 30% every time, because, you know what, when it's all over, they'll say, all right, he won, you know, the best boxer in the world, but he was entertaining and he never ever give up. And that, for me, when my kids are walking down the street in 30 years time from now, somebody will say that to them, and that'll be enough for me. We've had tons of success stories in this gym, tons, even just down to some of the ladies what have come in with no confidence and lost tons of weight. You know, one of our star boxers, Louis Sylvester, 3 years ago, smoking, pinching backer out of his dad's tin at home, and, you know, pinching bikes and getting up to no good. He's now Yorkshire champion. He's in the gym 6 days a week. We got him a job at Tigers Trust. He's working. He's standing on his own 2 feet. You know, there's so many stories. We'd be here all day talking about them.
So obviously there's loads of success stories there, too many to probably name in this, but I think you'll agree one of the biggest success stories of your whole entire life, Tommy, is the birth of your 2 wonderful children. You've got Archie and Arthur there, so tell us a little bit about them.
Absolutely, you know, the best title I've ever had, you know, and you know, we've had a few, amateur and professional, is the dad title. You know, the title of being a dad. My firstborn Archie, you know, what an incredible experience that was. I was actually training for the Luke Campbell fight, and he was 3 hours old, and I left him, and I can remember looking at that window now. I remember coming in here and the sun was beaming through, and he was only 3 hours old, and I was training at 7:30 in the morning, because I'd been up all day, it was all night before, so I'd not been able to train because obviously Holly was in labour. And then as soon as he was born, I was like, you know, I've got to go train now, Hall. And I literally walked over the road, come in the gym and I trained. And I remember just punching the bag and I'm thinking, oh, my dad, like, wow, this is weird. And it was the day of the press conference, so I'd had hardly any sleep. And I think that's why I give it to Luke Campbell, because I just couldn't, I almost couldn't be bothered to be there because I was so tired. And I think he'd said a few things and I just kind of just give it to him, and that was just because I was so tired. But then obviously, you know, I've got Arthur now as well, Archie's little brother, our second born. It's just amazing, you know. Yeah. Little Arthur's beautiful. I think he'll be different to Archie though. He's very, very quiet. Archie's
a chip off the old block, is Archie, isn't he?
Chip off the old block, yeah, absolutely. He's a crackerjack, yeah, he really is.
It's brilliant looking at some of your social media pictures and the photos of you both together, and he's got his waistcoat and his flat cap.
Yeah, like,
fantastic to see.
Yeah, and your wealth is in your stock, innit? You know, your wealth is in your stock. Your boys, they're your wealth. Not how much money you got in the bank, not what car you're driving, not how big your house is. You know,
it's all vanity.
Yeah, they're materialistic things. You know, and don't get me wrong, they're nice. I like nice things, but my boys, they're my wealth. And my wife as well, though.
Absolute beautiful kids, and obviously the sure as hell not getting your looks, so they're clearly getting the ones from the mum, Holly. Tell us about her. How did that all come about?
We've been together almost 10 years now. Obviously, it's like any relationship. It's had its ups, it's had its downs. In all fairness to Holly, I can't believe she's still with me. She should have left many years ago, but...
And every man is a successful woman.
Yes, absolutely. But she's from the old school, and she stood by me. She believed in me when you know, when I was down on my luck. You know, she always encouraged me to go to the gym and work hard, and she plays a massive role in my success by, you know, just looking after them boys and you know, taking any of, you know, life's stresses away just so I can focus on training. she's an unbelievable mother, and she's an unbelievable woman.
I think it goes back to earlier when we talked earlier about your mum. Your mum was the rock in your family. I think that's the same for every
I see
mum
so
becomes
many
the rock,
similarities in my mum and Holly, and you know, they say you always want a wife like your mum, and yeah, she's a good girl. We come from, you know, different backgrounds. Like Holly was privately educated, and I was expelled from school. So like how we met, the first time I ever went to Holly's house to take her out on a date, they obviously invited me and met her mum. Her mum, by the way, Holly's mum. I've got so much respect for that lady. She's an incredible lady. Works hard. She's I don't know how to say this without being disrespectful. She's like a geezer. She beautiful lady, by the way. She doesn't look like a man, but she's a workaholic. She grafts extremely hard, and she runs a really successful company, Refrigeration Yorkshire Limited, and Thermoplant Services. And she's provided a fantastic, you know, fantastic upbringing for her children. Yeah. And her children, because of her mum's, you know, work ethics, they've lived a very privileged life, a completely different life to what I've lived. And I never forget when I went around to Ollie's house for the first time, this massive big house, and I pulled up in this van and there was all rust around the wheel trims and everything. It was an old Sprinter 311 van, and Ollie had this brand new Mini, Mini convertible. So I've pulled up and gone in the house. Mum's invited me. I said, "Oh, lovely to meet you, you know, Mrs. Randall." And hi, Mr. Randall, blah blah blah. And she said, "Oh, are you guys going out? Are you going out for a drive?" I says, "Listen, you can't take a chick like her out in a van like that." And I said, "We're gonna go for a walk." The van stunk. It had, like, do you know when it just has that smell of fruit?
A worker's van.
Yeah, well, mouldy fruit. What was probably going off? And we just went for a walk, and yeah, 10 years down the line, we're still together. In actual fact, we've just bought the house. We've just bought Holly's old mum's house. So the house that we, you know, kind of grew up in for the last 10 years, we've just bought off Holly's mum. So it's Archie's now living in the bedroom me and Holly used to share when we obviously when I stayed over at our house. So
I don't think you need to tell him any more of that story.
No, but he's, you know, he
said that for his 18th.
Yeah, I might move in bedroom actually. I never thought of that. No, so it's a real nice story. Yeah, she's an unbelievable woman, and she's played a huge part in my success. You know, I'll say a real quick story. This is brilliant. I used to be a bit of a gambler, so I think it was my third pro fight at Doncaster Dome. No, it wasn't. It was at remember when the German Tech Arena was the bonus arena?
Yeah.
It was at the bonus arena, and I'd sold about £11,500 worth of tickets, and I used to like them roulette machines. And basically, I'd done all the ticket money in on the roulette machine. So the promoter's money, I'd spent it on the roulette machine. And I remember ringing Holly and said, "You're gonna have to come pick me up." And I was outside Betfred on King Edward Street in the town centre. I'd literally finished work at the fruit store and I had the ticket money on me. I think I had about £3,500 of the ticket money on me, and I'd put it all in the roulette machine, the full lot. And she come and she picked me up. Bear in mind, she was only 17 at the time, and my face was white. She said, "What's up?" I went, "Oh, nothing. I just don't feel very well." But you know, you had that feeling when you feel physically sick. Yeah. Well, I felt physically sick because I'd spent all this money. So, anyways, I confessed to her and I told her, I said, "Look, I've done all the promoter's money." I said about £3,500 of it, and because obviously I'd already handed so much of the money in, but the ticket money I'd accumulated that weekend or that week, it was about £3,500. So she went, "Tom, you idiot. So I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, I'm fighting next Friday. One, I didn't need the stress of all this happening before the fight. But she says, well, and I never forget this, and I always remind her of it. She went, well, because she was only 17, she went, I've got about £700 savings at home, she says, and you can have it. And I straight away then I thought, she's a keeper here. Like, she's offered to help me out. It was 700 quid. I said, well, you're £2.5 grand short. I says, but, you know, it's a beautiful offer. And do you know what I did to get the money back?
Go on.
Right? I borrowed 500 quid off my dad. I went and bought £500 worth of glow sticks. And do you know the Freedom Festival?
Yeah.
I worked on the Freedom Festival selling glow sticks at £1 each. And I think I got about 1,600 quid back off the glow sticks. And I borrowed the rest of the money off my dad. I paid the promoter, and then when I fought, I just paid my dad back. I paid Holly back, and I think I maybe had about 100 quid left. I had a night out and a takeaway, and that was it. But
you had some glow sticks left?
Yeah, no, I sold all the glow
sold them
sticks.
all?
Oh yeah, listen, I always sell out.
So that leads us in to something I wanted to ask you then. You've got a business head, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, you've took risks, and some have paid off, some haven't, and I think that's the sort of DNA of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So tell us about setting up business. Why did you go into business?
Well, I was mindful that boxing wasn't going to be forever. You know, no education to fall back on to go and get a great career. You know, in an office. And to be fair, you know, I'm not the type of guy that could work 9 to 5 in an office, you know, pushing numbers and making calls and having meeting after meeting. I like being on the shop floor. I love selling. I'm a salesman originally, but I was mindful that I needed something post-career to fall back on because I am very ambitious. You know, I do like to go on a nice holiday. Do like to drive a nice car, which is insured because, you know, when I was younger, I don't think I ever had the correct insurance. I always had 6 points. I always told the insurers that I had never had any points. So you know, I wanted to be able to continue to live a nice life and provide for my children. I want them to go to a good school. I want to be able to provide I want to be able to provide Holly with a comfortable lifestyle. So I set the gyms up. You know, the gyms initially, I just thought, when I finish boxing, I've got a gym where I can personal train someone. You know, I can train 10 hours a week, you know, £30 a week. I've got 300 quid a week because that was how I thought. I just need 300 quid wages a week like I used to earn when I was a young kid. It gives me a bit of security. I'm always going to be okay. But then when we set the gyms up, I thought I'm going to set them up while my career is still running, and that was quite a big risk for me because, you know, it can take away some of your attention to boxing. But I was quite cute. I was mindful that the gyms would get the media attention while I was getting attention. You know, when I did an open workout, I'd do it at my gym, therefore it'd get recognised, you know, and people would want to come to this gym because there was stuff happening there. And as well as having a great team of people to help me run the gyms and some fantastic sponsors to, you know, support my vision for the gym, we've managed to create 2 absolute weapons. Like, we've got 2 unbelievable gyms.
They're fantastic.
Not in terms of like the latest, you know, equipment and, you know, all the best treadmills and all the best, you know, weights and stuff like that. I'm talking about atmosphere. I'm talking about gyms. You know, look around, they're not the biggest, but the people what come in here, you've got extremely and powerful people within the city training in this gym alongside a kid which, you know, is probably out of work, and you would not be able to split them 2. You wouldn't know who was who because it's just a people's gym, and it's not just a business anymore for me. It's a real feel-good factor. And I've managed to be able to make the gyms free to every kid under 17. So any kid who's under 17 what comes in here, they don't pay a penny to come.
That's amazing.
And that's because of that thing with my dad. When I was a kid, I remember him always having to try and find a few quid to get us to training. You know, say people have 3 and 4 kids. If you've got 4 kids, okay, and it's 2 quid to take your son or your daughter to dancing or a sports event, okay, 2 quid a night, 4 quid, that's 8 quid a night. 5 days a week, that's 40 quid. That's right? 40 quid? 5 eights, 40 quid, yeah? So that's 40 quid a week. 4 weeks, it's £160 a month. It becomes expensive. So if I can alleviate some of that pressure on parents and alleviate that pressure on some of the kids what are knocking around, you know, it'll just entice them to walk through the door more. So it kind of takes off any barriers, any financial barriers. And you know what, we've attracted some great kids because it's been free.
So obviously you've got loads of different things going on. What current plans, projects are in the pipeline for Tommy Coyle?
I can't really talk about one of the things I'm extremely excited about, but the nightlife is set to change around here.
Right, okay.
It's going to be something good's happening, and I'm extremely excited about it, and the people I'm involved with.
How long have we got to wait to hear?
Not long. I'm hoping to have this project up and running by Christmas.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, not too long. Home for the Christmas parties. But yeah, I have another company called Coyle Health and Wellbeing Limited, and it's a company which looks after the health and well-being of big companies. So I've just secured the contract for Siemens for over 1,000. Well, they're currently at 811 employees at the minute, and they're due to grow up to 1,000. So it's a huge contract for me, and forget the success of the contract. The biggest success about this is that a kid who was selling fruit and veg, a kid that got expelled from school, is dealing with Siemens. That's the win in this.
I think there's a message in there, isn't there? To
of
everybody out there, particularly young kids who think that maybe there's nothing else out there for them. You know, yesterday, for instance, kids were picking up A-level results. Next week, they'll be picking up GCSE results.
Yeah.
And when they're looking at those results, they're maybe going to think, that's it for me, I'm done. When actually, you're probably proof that that's not the case.
It's the same in anything. Talent only takes you so far. Okay, skill only takes you so far, but if you're hard working, okay, if you're determined to succeed, then you will make it. It's all about grafting and it's that perseverance. We have a strategy with the kids that we work with on the Box Clever program called the HSP strategy, and it's a strategy, it's a real simple strategy, and it stands for hard work, sacrifice, perseverance. And we say, if you're willing to put in the hard work, make sacrifices and persevere, eventually success is inevitable. Okay, you just got to keep repeating and repeating that strategy. And that's all I've did, you know, in order to get this deal. It seems it's taken me 18 months to get. First time round, I failed. My business plan, you know, it was the wrong way to go. I had to make some changes. I had to get some talented people to help me deliver what it was that I wanted to deliver. And eventually, because I persevered and went back to them again with a different program, a different initiative, we got the deal. And you know, I'm so happy that I managed to win that deal. And you know, it's going to be awesome. It's such a cool, innovative program, and Siemens are going to really benefit from it.
No, that's fantastic news. I wish you all the success.
So we're gonna roll that out with so many companies. We're speaking to companies such as Swift Caravans, Arco, because at the end of the day, these big companies and their bosses, they they essentially need great people to work for them to make their company better. So how do you become a talent magnet? How do you attract great employees? And you attract great employees by being a great company to work for. How do you become a great company to work for? You look after your employees. So these companies are employing me and my team to make them a great company to work for, to attract talent. And we're going to get these guys performing. You know, presenteeism is a huge thing. People are actually at work, but they're not because they're hungover from the night before, or, you know, they're not actually at work because they had a load of carbs at dinner time and they're sat in their office chair like this from 12 p.m. onwards. So we're just trying to nudge them to make smarter choices in the canteen, or get them to walk the long way round to the canteen, you know, rather than taking a shortcut right across the factory. How about you walk the long way round and just get more steps in? You do that 7 days a week. You might do a total of an extra 300 steps a week. That might be an extra 300 calories a week. Therefore, you're creating a 300 calorie deficit. You know, there's a lift in your office. Take the stairs rather than the lift.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got some really, really cool, one thing which is cool, I've got to tell you about this. We just had some smoothie bikes designed. These smoothie bikes, wicked. So we've put some smoothie bikes in the canteen. Well, I'll tell a lie, we haven't put them in there just yet. They're in storage, but they're due to go in there. And you put the fruit mix in the front of the smoothie bike. Proteins, powder's an option. My friend Jack, he's got a company called Waybox, and he's put some protein samples in there. And you hop on the bike and you pedal this bike as fast as you can, and it's about a 30-second hit, maybe a 30-40 second hit. And the faster you pedal it, it spins the blender mechanism, and you make your own smoothie by pedaling this bike. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a healthy lunch, and you're getting some exercise as well. And it's
so I was at a festival one time, and they had this Sky Electrics track, and they were pedaling the blue and the red cars.
Yeah, to get them round the quickest.
The more you pedal, the dynamo powered.
Healthy competition.
Kids can sit, they can enjoy a nostalgic.
And they're engaging with one another.
We used to have as kids. And they're engaging, like you say,
yeah,
but
of course.
they're also getting some exercise. So
but this is it. It makes workforces a cool place to be, a fun place to be, rather than just, I'm going to work today. You know, people actually look forward to going to work because there's cool people there and there's cool things happening, and they can live a good life.
Yeah. So Tommy Coyle's pretty much leaving a legacy behind for his children, for his family, for his fans.
Yeah. What will they say when I'm gone?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about for me. You know, what will they say when I'm no longer here? And I hope it's something like, you know what, he wasn't the best fighter technically, but when he was on TV, you wouldn't turn the channel over. He was exciting, he was fun to watch, but above all, he was a good kid, give plenty back to a city he was proud to be from. He was a good dad, he was a good soon-to-be husband, and yeah, he just loved life. It was a fun character.
I think I remember sending you a picture after one of your fights. Get knocked down, get up 8.
Yeah, get knocked down.
Get knocked down 7 times, get up 8.
Get up 8, yeah.
And I remember sending that to you because that pretty much epitomises you. That's the type of character you are. You've been knocked down, you've got back up, and
I refuse to lose.
Going. So what's next then, Tommy?
What's next?
Where's life taking you?
I can't announce my next fight as yet, and I'm sure when you release this interview, the fight will be announced. But I've agreed to fight in a title fight overseas, and it's going to be a great fight. This guy's unbeaten. He's up and coming, but I've met this guy before. I've met him in a sparring match. Okay. In a sparring session, if you like, and he knows what I'm about, and that will be lodged at the back of his brain, and he knows when he comes to fight me, he's gonna have to be he's going to have to be superhuman that night to beat me, because I've got the bit between my teeth again, and I'm determined to finish what I started. I'm determined to become Hull's first ever British champion, defend it, keep it out right, put it somewhere real nice in a Hull Art Friends gallery or somewhere nice at home if they don't let me put it there. Get a load of pictures and make a proper top scrapbook. And then that's it. Hasta luego.
Well, Tommy Coyle, I wish you all the success, because you
Thanks,
are
mate.
a people's champion.
Top man.
Well
Cheers.
done, mate.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Cheers. No, thank you.